علما وكذلك نجزي المحسنين وراودته التي هو في بيتها عن نفسه وغلقت الأبواب وقالت هيت لك قال معاذ الله إنه ربي أحسن مثواي إنه لا يفلح الظالمون ولقد همت به وهم بها لولا أن رأى برهان ربه كذلك لنصرف عنه السوء والفحشاء إنه من عبادنا المخلصين الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. We begin this blessed gathering with the praise of Allah. It is only by Allah's grace that we are able to gather in His house to remember Him. Before we begin our reflections from the verses, I would like to mention something about reflection on the Quran in general. There's a dua, many of you might know it from the Sunnah, a dua about distress, relieving of distress. It is one of the most beautiful duas that you will find in Hisnul Muslim. The dua goes on like this: Allahumma inni abduka ibnu abdika ibnu amatika nasiyati biyadika madin fiyya hukmuka adlun fiyya qada'uka. It says that, O Allah, I am your slave. I am the son of your slave and the son of your female slave. I ask you by all your names that you have taught someone amongst your creation, or علمته أحدا من خلقك أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك, or those names which no one knows except you. All of those names that you have mentioned in this book, all of those names that you have taught anyone amongst your creation, and all of those names that no one else knows except you. I ask you by all those names of yours to make this Quran the spring of my heart, the life of my heart. Rasulullah says, whoever makes this dua, Allah will relieve his distress, his depression, his sadness. So when we make that dua, that, oh Allah, I ask you by all your names to make the Quran the life, the spring of my heart. How is that dua going to manifest if we don't have any connection with the Quran? We don't know what the Quran says. We don't know what Allah speaks about. How is that going to relieve us from our sadness, from our problems, from our distress? So that's why in order for us to be relieved from all kinds of distresses that we may have, we need to connect ourselves with the Quran. We need to know Allah through the Quran, know Allah's names through the Quran. Can anyone here mention 2 names of Allah that we have already discussed in this surah? Rabb. Okay, very good. Yaqub is not here. Yaqub's friends are here. I want to hear from you. Hamdan. What are the names of Allah we discussed? Something that Yaqub alayhi salam taught his son. Yes. Rabb, yes. Inna Rabbaka. Rabb, yes. Also, 2 other names. Inna Rabbaka comes after that. Yes. Alimun Hakim. Your master is all-knowing and wise. And also another name we learned, and we said that that name is only mentioned in this surah. Who can tell? Only once in the Quran. That is one of the favorite names of Allah to me. And a lot of overthinking goes away when I recall that name. We discussed it in the last session we did. Oh, you weren't here. Wallahu. You recited it today. In the first verse that you recited. Wallahu ghalibun ala amrihi. Allah is ghalib in His matters. Allah is dominant in His affairs. Allah is always in charge. And whatever He wants, only that happens. Nothing else happens. No one else, no other plan works. Only Allah's plan works. So as we go through the surah, we are going to learn the names of Allah. We are going to learn the names of Allah. And if we were to say that the purpose of this entire surah or the purpose of these sessions is only to learn about the names of Allah, it is enough. To learn about Allah. Who is Allah? Allah is teaching us who is He through these stories. How He deals with us, how He deals with His servant. In this point of the story, what we have recited is, after Yusuf alayhi salam goes to Egypt, and he is in the minister's house now, as a young boy. He grows up. He is growing up in the minister's house. Allah says, وَلَمَّا بَلَغَ أَشُدَّهُ. When Yusuf became a full-grown man, آتَيْنَاهُ حُكْمًا وَعِلْمًا. We gave him hukum and we gave him ilm. What does hukum mean? Hukum is synonymous to the word hikmah. Yes? Good judgment, very good, yes. Good judgment and wisdom. Good judgment and wisdom is called hukum. The ability to make the right decision, right judgments, and choose the right course of path, right course of actions is called hukum. And Allah gives this attribute, this hukum, to His messengers. آتَيْنَاهُ حُكْمٌ. Hukum means to make the right judgment at the right time, which is opposite to acting impulsively, not doing the right thing, acting on impulses. And hukum means he doesn't act on impulses. He not only that, he has knowledge, he knows how to put it into action in the right time and in the right way. آتَيْنَاهُ حُكْمًا وَعِلْمًا. And then Allah says, وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And this is how we reward the good doers, the muhsinin. So this means, Allah says, I gave this hukum and ilm to Yusuf. And this is how we reward good doers. Meaning that you and I can also achieve this. This is not exclusive to Yusuf alayhi salam. But how can we achieve this? What does Allah say? This is how we reward al-muhsinin, the good doers. So if we can become among the muhsinin, if we can do good, we can also get this gift from Allah, gift of hukum and ilm, get the gift of wisdom and knowledge. Then Allah says, وَرَاوَدَتْهُ الَّتِي هُوَ فِي بَيْتِهَا عَنْ نَفْسِهِ. Yusuf grows up. The minister's wife, وَرَاوَدَتْهُ الَّتِي هُوَ فِي بَيْتِهَا. The minister's wife seeks to seduce him. As he is growing up in the house, the minister's wife one day sought to seduce him. And Allah doesn't say that the minister's wife sought to seduce him. Allah says, the one in whose house he lives sought to seduce him. What is the difference between the two? It is one thing saying that that lady tried to seduce him. But when Allah says that the lady in whose house he lives, that lady tried to seduce him, this makes it clear how provocative the seduction was. How vulnerable Yusuf alayhi salam was. How vulnerable the situation was for Yusuf alayhi salam. She is in charge of everything. She is in charge of his household, of the household. And that lady herself, she is presenting herself. And what does she do? وَغَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابِ. غَلَّقَ means to shut the doors. أَغْلَقَ also means to shut the doors. But غَلَّقَ means to shut the doors, like shut them really tight. Shut them with multiple locks. وَغَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابِ. Abwab is the plural of bab. غَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابِ means she doesn't only lock the room door. She locks the room's door. She locks the main entrance. She locks all the doors of the houses. And she makes the situation comfortable for such an immoral act. وَغَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابِ وَقَالَتْ هَيْتَ لَكَ. And then she says to Yusuf alayhi salam, come to me, in a seductive way. And how does Yusuf alayhi salam respond? قَالَ مَعَاذَ اللَّهِ. Yusuf alayhi salam says, my place of refuge is only Allah. Remember we said Allah gave him hukum and ilm. Allah gave him hukum means practical wisdom. He doesn't only have the knowledge of Allah, knowledge about the fear of Allah. He has been given the hukum, the ability to put it into action. He doesn't act on his impulses. He can put it into action. So when he's invited to such an immoral act, he responds, Ma'adh Allah, I seek refuge in Allah. Innahu Rabbi ahsana mathwai. He is my master. He has taken care of me. He has given me a good dwelling. Innahu la yuflihu adh-dhalimun. And the wrongdoers, they never succeed. Some of the Mufassirun has said that when Yusuf alayhi salam is saying, Innahu Rabbi, he is my master, he is referring to Allah, that Allah is my master, Allah has taken good care of me. I have been at this house, Allah has given me a comfortable dwelling, comfortable life. How can I do that? How can I indulge myself in such a sin, immoral act? Innahu la yuflihu okay. And some of the Mufassirun also said that here, Innahu Rabbi, he is my master. Yusuf alayhi salam is referring to the minister, the lady's wife, the lady's husband. That he is my master and he has taken good care of me. How can I betray him? When he brought him home, when he brought Yusuf alayhi salam home, he told his wife that make sure you give him an honorable dwelling, a proper dwelling. Don't treat him like a servant. Like he should stay in this room one day and that room the other day. At night he will sleep in the kitchen. No, not like that. Give him a comfortable space. And perhaps we can take him as a son. So he's saying that your husband, my master, he has taken such good care of me that he even wanted to take me as a son. He treats me like a son. And how can I betray him? Innahu la yuflihu adh-dhalimun. The wrongdoers never succeed. The wrongdoers never succeed. There is excitement in sins. It might seem attractive, but wrongdoers never succeed. وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا لَوْلَا أَن رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ. Allah says, she desired him, and he would have desired her if it wasn't for the sign of Allah. He would have desired her too. It is not like Yusuf alayhi salam did not feel anything. Yusuf alayhi salam is a prophet, but he's a young man, he's a human being. Having taqwa of Allah doesn't mean that you kill your hormones. You're still a human being. Yusuf alayhi salam, also was prone to the desire, but he just did not act on it. Why? لَوْلَا أَن رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ. Because of the signs of Allah that he saw. Signs of Allah meaning his firm belief in Allah, his fear of Allah, his knowledge of the status, of his status in front of Allah, of the favors of Allah. One of the things that we can learn, we can take away from here is that when we are tested with these kinds of provocations or any kind of test in where we have the ability to sin, we must remember the favors of Allah upon us. How well Allah has kept us. What status Allah has given us. It was not obligatory on Allah to keep us in that way. Allah has all the things we have are favors of Allah. So by sinning, we are betraying all those favors. And these tests, Allah says, I gave him knowledge and wisdom. Right after giving him knowledge and wisdom, his knowledge and wisdom was put to test. Why was it put to test? Because Allah has prepared a higher status for him. And Allah does not give a status without putting to test first. He fixes a status for us, He prepares a status for us, but to make us worthy of that status, He makes us go through tests and then checks our honesty. Are we really truthful in our commitment to Allah? وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا لَوْلَا أَن رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ. He would have desired her too if it wasn't for the sign of Allah. كَذَلِكَ لِنَصْرِفَ عَنْهُ السُّوءَ وَالْفَحْشَاءَ. And this is how Yusuf a.s. abstained himself, and this is how we removed the su and fahsha from Yusuf. Su means wrongdoings, fahsha means obscenity. Shamelessness. This is how we removed immoral acts and shamelessness from Yusuf a.s. Allah doesn't say that this is how we removed Yusuf from shamelessness and wrongdoings. Allah says this is how we removed wrongdoings and shamelessness from Yusuf, as though shamelessness and wrongdoings, those were trying to get to Yusuf, but Allah removed those from Yusuf, not the other way. It wasn't like Yusuf a.s. was approaching the wrongdoings and the shamelessness, and then Allah moved Yusuf a.s. away. No, it was the other way around. And why did Allah do that? إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا الْمُخْلَصِينَ. Indeed, he was among our mukhlas slaves. Mukhlas comes from the word ikhlas. What does ikhlas mean? Who can say? Surah Al-Ikhlas, we recite it. What does ikhlas mean? Yes? Loyalty. Yes, loyalty. Yes. Sincerity. Yes. Sincerity. Hamdan, you? You're going to say the same thing? Come on. Are you sure? Okay. Ikhlas means sincerity. So when Allah says, sincerity actually means, literally ikhlas means to remove all the impure things and to focus on one thing only. So when we say we have ikhlas for Allah, it means that we remove everything else from our focus and we put our intentions only for Allah. So Allah says that Yusuf was among the mukhlasin, which means Yusuf was among the chosen ones. We chose Yusuf from among many others. And since he was a chosen one, we helped him stay away from all the evil acts and immoral acts. In another qira'ah of the Quran, it is narrated, mukhlisin. Mukhlisin means sincere. Mukhlasin means chosen. So Allah is also saying that we have done so, we have removed evils and immoral acts from him because he was sincere. And in this qira'ah that we are reading, Allah says, we have removed immoral acts because he was chosen. So, in order for Allah to choose us, in order for us to be among the chosen servants of Allah, we have to be sincere. If we are sincere, we will be among the ones who Allah chooses. And our sincerity will be tested. Sincerity will be tested through these things. Every temptation that may come to us is a test for our sincerity. Every test, be it a glance, be it a communication, all of these are going to be a test of our sincerity. And when Allah chooses to test someone, He makes the temptations easy. Like when Allah chose to test Bani Israel on Saturdays, that they will be tested with some fish. It will come on the shore, but it will be prohibited on them to fish on that day. So on Saturdays, the fishes used to come, used to gather. It was haram for them to go fishing on Saturdays, and on Saturdays specifically, the fishes would gather. That's how the test of Allah is. Allah would say that something is haram, and at the same time, He would make it accessible to you to check your sincerity. And once you pass that test, what does Allah give Yusuf alayhi salam? Throne awaits you. A high status awaits you, not in the akhirah, but also in the dunya. But before that, even a prophet will not be saved from these tests. They will be tested. There's a story of a young boy during the time of Umar radiallahu anhu. He used to be a very devoted young man, coming to the mosque all the time. Ibn Qayyim narrates this story. One day, he was tempted by a woman, by a lady. So she managed to take him to her house. And he, out of impulsiveness, also happened to go there with her. But as soon as he went in, he recalled a verse of Allah, a verse of Quran, and he recited it. He recited, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا إِذَا مَسَّهُمْ طَائِفٌ مِّنَ الشَّيْطَانِ تَذَكَّرُوا فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْصِرُونَ. I will tell you the translation later. As soon as he recited that verse, he fainted. And the lady, she was worried that what's happening? Is he dead or something? She managed to take him out. And then, when he woke up and he found himself in his house, he went back home and he narrated this entire thing to his family. And when he narrated that verse again to his father, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا إِذَا مَسَّهُمْ طَائِفٌ مِّنَ الشَّيْطَانِ تَذَكَّرُوا فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْصِرُونَ, he fainted again and he died there. He passed away right there. Umar radiallahu anhu was informed. Umar radiallahu anhu was informed, and he went to his grave and recited, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ جَنَّتَانِ. Whoever fears the position of Allah, or whoever fears standing in front of Allah, he will be given 2 Jannah. Some of the narrations added here that Umar radiallahu anhu heard a voice saying to him that Allah has already given me 2 Jannah, O Umar. The verse that he recited was, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا إِذَا مَسَّهُمْ طَائِفٌ مِّنَ الشَّيْطَانِ. Indeed, those who fear Allah, when an impulse from shaitan comes to them, when a waswasa from shaitan comes to them, تَذَكَّرُوا, they remember Allah, فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْصِرُونَ, and all of a sudden, they come to their insight. It is as though when shaitan approaches us with his waswasa, for that moment, we forget everything. We forget the implications of the sins that we are going to indulge ourselves into. We forget the vulgarity of the act. We forget even our own status in front of Allah. And shaitan makes us forget that. Shaitan is very powerful, but all of shaitan's powers is dismissed as soon as you remember Allah. And it was so powerful to that boy that he fainted. And did he know that he was going to die on that day? Did that boy know he was going to die on that day? He did not know. But it is because he remembered Allah that he died in a state that is pleasant to Allah. But if he had indulged in that act, he would have died on the same day, but in a state when Allah is angry at him. These tests will come to us, all of us, in some manner or the other. We should utilize this as opportunities to gain status in front of Allah. And Allah will not only reward us in the akhirah, but also in this dunya. Carrying on with the story. وَاسْتَبَقَ الْبَابَ وَقَدَّتْ قَمِيصَهُ. Both of them raced towards the door. And the lady grabbed his shirt from behind and ripped it, only to stumble upon the woman's husband at the door. Alfa ya sayyidaha ladal bab. Qalat, and the woman said, and the lady said, Qalat, ma jaza'u man arada bi ahlika su'an. She said instantaneously that, what is the reward for someone who intends evil towards your family, towards your wife? What is his punishment? What are you going to do to him? Illa an yusjana aw azabun alim. It is only a severe punishment or imprisonment that is worthy of this guy. So instantaneously, he makes up a lie. She makes up a lie and plays the victim. قَالَ هِيَ رَاوَدَتْنِي. Yusuf a.s. says, she is the one who tried to seduce me. وَشَهِدَ شَاهِدٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِهَا. And a witness from her family testified. There was no one who witnessed this, but to solve the issue, a witness from her family intervened. He said that, إِنْ كَانَ قَمِيصُهُ قُدَّ مِنْ قُبُلٍ فَصَدَقَتْ. If the shirt is ripped from the front, then she is truthful and Yusuf is lying. And if the shirt, وَإِنْ كَانَ قَمِيصُهُ قُدَّ مِنْ دُبُرٍ, and if the shirt is ripped from behind, it means that Yusuf is truthful, meaning Yusuf was trying to escape and she pulled her shirt from the back. But if it was the other way around, that the shirt is ripped from the front, it would mean that Yusuf was trying to assault her and then she had to defend herself and she ripped the shirt from the front. So when they found out, فَلَمَّا رَأَى قَمِيصَهُ قُدَّ مِنْ دُبُرٍ, when they saw that the shirt was ripped from behind, قَالَ إِنَّهُ مِنْ كَيْدِكُنْ. The husband says, it is indeed from your cunning. It is indeed from your trickeries. Inna kaydakunna azim. Indeed, your trickery is indeed great. You are the master of this. Interestingly, kaid, trickery, this word is used in the Quran for shaitan as well. But in the case of shaitan, Allah says, Inna kayda shaitani kana da'ifa. Indeed, the trickery of shaitan is weak. But when Allah quoted this man stating the trickery of women, the statement is, indeed the trickery of you people, of you women, it is indeed great. Women are generally have more emotional intelligence than men. And men it is very easy to deceive men in this way. They use that. She used the masculine protective jealousy that the husband has immediately in her favor and against Yusuf. She tried to trigger that. And these sorts of plots and trickery, women can be using this very easily. Yusuf a'rid an hadha. So the husband, he says, Yusuf, forget that this ever happened. A'rid an hadha. Forget about this ordeal. Wastaghfiri li dhanbik. And you, his wife, you should seek forgiveness for your deed. Innaki kunti min al-khati'in. You were among the wrongdoers. Do you notice that this is too little of a punishment for a wife, just to say that seek forgiveness for your misdeed, for your wrong deed? He did not banish Yusuf. He did not punish his wife. He just said that it is a sinful act you did, it is a wrong thing you did, you should seek forgiveness. That's it. He tried to suppress this issue. He did not want any scandal. He was worried about his image. He's a minister. And a scandal in his house, it would be disastrous to his image. So he did not go further with this. And what happens? The story comes out in the city. Walls have ears. The story comes out. وقال نسوة في المدينة امرأة العزيز تراود فتاها عن نفسه. Some women in the city, they say, امرأة العزيز, the wife of Aziz, تراود فتاها عن نفسه, is trying to seduce her servant. They are mixing masala in the story, spices in the story. And women, these women, they are also wives of other ministers or other high officials. So, they are finding this story very spicy. And they want to spread it. Because they are also jealous and they are using it as an opportunity for a smear campaign. Not just against the lady, also against the lady's husband. Because when you take someone down, someone else's husband down, some other official down, it is one of the ways to put yourself up. So they use it. And the way they are stating this clearly indicates that they were trying to, they were trying to hamper her image. They were saying, turawidu fataha. When Allah narrates, Allah says, rawadat, in a past tense, that she sought to seduce him. It is as though it was one act. But when they were narrating this, they are saying, turawidu, she seeks to seduce him. She does it pretty often. So it is clear that they were trying to hamper her image. Fataha an nafsi. Qad shaghafaha hubba. She is consumed by love, by his love. Inna lanaraha fi dhalalin mubin. Indeed, we are seeing her, we perceive her in clear error. Tahir ibn Ashur, the famous Mufassir, says that when these women, they are putting so much emphasis in the word that the wife of Aziz is in clear error. We can see her in clear error. Indeed, she is in clear error. The reason for putting so much emphasis on this word, clear error, is to cover their own jealousy. As if these women, they are also jealous of the wife of Aziz. This also shows a lot of things about the character of these women. That they are jealous of the wife of Aziz because she has a handsome servant. And to hide that, they are wanting to putting her down and saying that she is in error. And we are only gossiping about her because she is in error. Before we end, just one thing. We are going to continue for five more minutes, inshallah. These gossips that these women are doing, what do you think? Which one is more grave? Trying to seduce the servant, or trying to hamper the reputation and image of a person because they tried to seduce, or because they indulge in an immoral act? What do you think? Which one is more heinous, or which one is a more graver sin? The latter. She sinned privately, and these women, when they are gossiping about her, they are indulging in a sin which is graver, which is more serious. Because when you look down on others for a sin they have committed, it shows your arrogance. And arrogance is a greater sin. And also, the scholars have said, if you look down on someone, it is very likely that you will not die unless you also commit that sin. And what we see in the next verses is, فَلَمَّا سَمِعَتْ بِمَكْرِهِنَّ, when the wife of Aziz learns about their gossips, she invites them to a banquet. And she gives fruit and knives to all of them to cut the fruit. And then she calls Yusuf. Yusuf, come. And when Yusuf makes that grand entrance, all of them were in awe, looking at him. And they said, Hasha lillah, good God, this is not a human being. This can't be a human being. This is a blessed angel. And as they looked at Yusuf, they وَقَطَّعْنَ أَيْدِيَهُنْ, they missed the fruit and cut their hands. The sin that they were gossiping about the minister's wife, all of them together are showing interest in the same sin. And then the wife of Aziz says, see, this is about whom you were accusing me of seducing him. And yes, I did seduce him, she says. وَلَقَدْ رَاوَدتُّهُ عَنْ نَفْسِي فَاسْتَعْصَمَ, but he abstained. وَلَئِن لَمْ يَفْعَلْ مَا آمُرُهُ, and if he does not do what I command him to do, indeed he will be imprisoned and he will be disgraced. And Yusuf a.s. finds himself in this situation. It's not Imratul Aziz anymore. It's not just the minister's wife anymore. It's a room full of women showing interest in him and threatening him. Not just showing interest, threatening him. And now the minister's wife does not just say seductive words. She says, Amuruhu, I command him to do. If he does not do what I am commanding him to do, I will make sure he is disgraced and he is imprisoned. We claim to love Allah. we claim to be sincere to Allah. But when our faith is put to test, on one side it is the pleasure of Allah, and on the other side it is imprisonment. What does Yusuf alayhi salam do? Yusuf alayhi salam says, قَالَ رَبِّ السِّجْنُ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا يَدْعُونَنِي إِلَيْهِ. O Allah, O my master, the prison is more beloved to me than what they are inviting me to. وَإِلَّا تَصْرِفْ عَنِّي كَيْدَهُنَّ. And if you don't remove their plots from me, أَصْبُ إِلَيْهِنَّ, I will incline towards them. Can you imagine a prophet of Allah saying this? A prophet of Allah says that, oh Allah, if you don't help me, if you don't get me out of this, I am not going to be able to control myself. I will be inclined towards them. أَصْبُ إِلَيْهِنَّ وَأَكُمْ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. And I will be among the jahilin, the ignorant ones. Jahilin doesn't only mean ignorant like the way we know it. Jahilin also means someone who cannot control their emotions. So I will be among those who act impulsively and give in to their emotions. And I will fall for them. I will give in if you don't help me. There are times when we find ourselves in vulnerable situations and we see that it is impossible for us to get out of that situation. But through these verses, what Allah is teaching us, that yes, indeed we are weak. No matter how much taqwa we think we have, we will never be able to control ourselves on our own. And even if we feel that we are vulnerable and the situation is impossible, there is one thing we can do. What is that? There is one thing we can always do. What is that? Yes? Rely on Allah and raise our hands. Raise our hands and move our lips. We are helpless. We admit that. Yusuf alayhi salam admits that he is helpless. He will give in. He is on the verge of giving in. But he cries to Allah, "To Allah, I am going to give in. I am not being able to control myself." And these dua, these words, these movement of lips don't go in vain. These have effect. These are powerful. Even though I feel that I don't have the strong strength of my will to move myself from the sin, but if I can only move my lips, raise my hands, Allah will make a way out for me, like Allah says in the next verse, فَاسْتَجَابَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ. So his master responds to him. So his master responds to him. He calls on his master responds to him. فَصَرَفَ عَنْهُ كَيْدَهُنْ. So he removed their plot from them. إِنَّهُ هُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. And indeed, he is the one who hears everything. And indeed, he is the one who knows everything. Why does Allah end it with this statement? Indeed, it is He who hears everything and who knows everything. Because when we want to raise our hands, we might feel that Allah is not listening. Allah does not know what I'm going through. We might have that feeling that perhaps Allah might not respond. But Allah assures us that He is listening. He knows what you're going through. Just do the whispering. He will listen and He will answer. May Allah allow us to be among those who can put Allah's pleasure over everything else. May Allah allow us to be among those who listen to reminders